Today is 16th of September 2025. The day before yesterday, I discussed the third and the fourth armies of Māra, hunger and the seeking that arises out of hunger. Then I spoke about the four types of effort categorized based on function. The effort to prevent the unwholesome states that haven't yet arisen, the effort to eliminate the unwholesome states that have already arisen, the effort to give rise the wholesome states that haven't yet arisen, and the effort to sustain, cultivate, strengthen, and fulfill the wholesome states that have already arisen. Of these four, I have already explained the first effort, the effort to prevent the unwholesome states that haven't yet arisen. Now I will continue with the second one. The second effort is the effort to eliminate unwholesome states that have already arisen. To explain about this second effort, you must first understand what is meant by the unwholesome states that have already arisen. I don't think this requires much explanations. However, it includes all unwholesome mental states that have arisen in the past from unknown beginning, from beginningless past up to even a second, even a moment before, including everything that has arisen a second before. So these may include anger that has flared up, the loss that is already burning, guilty feeling, envy, doubt that is present in the mind, or any form of mental disturbances that is currently active or lingering. The role of the second effort is to recognize these defilements clearly and work to abandon them through mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. This is about the second type of effort, the effort to eliminate the unwholesome states that have already arisen. The third one is the effort to give rise to wholesome states that haven't yet arisen. Here too, we must first understand the wholesome states that haven't yet arisen. One might mistakenly think, oh, all kinds of wholesome states have already arisen in my mind because I have performed generous acts as dana. I have observed 5 precepts, 8 precepts as sila. I have practiced meditation as bhavana. I have done dana, sila, bhavana. Or in other words, I have already fulfilled all 10 types of wholesome acts. The 10 types of wholesome acts are dana, generosity; sila, morality; bhavana, meditation; apachayana. Apachayana means reverence or respect; vayavacha, service or rendering assistance; patidana, sharing merits; pattanumodana, rejoicing others' merit; dhammasavana, listening the Dhamma talks; dhammadesana, expounding or teaching the Dhamma; then the ditti jukama, the straightening of one's own view or development of the right view. In this way, there are 10 kinds of wholesome acts. Even though you may have engaged in these 10 wholesome activities before, that doesn't mean all possible wholesome mental states have already arisen. Just like unwholesome states, unwholesome qualities arise in specific moments, under specific conditions. For example, during meditation, the qualities such as mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, faith, and effort itself arise in relation to the present experience. Even though these may seem familiar, the specific instance of these wholesome states are completely new. They have never arisen in exactly this way before. To understand, I have to elaborate. So to elaborate, when you observe the rising movement of the abdomen with effort, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, and faith, the qualities supporting that moment of observation are fresh, that particular effort, that exact mindfulness, that specific like concentration and the wisdom, faith connected with the rising. They have never arisen before in this precise combination or moment. Again, when you observe the falling movement with those same supporting factors, effort, mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, and faith, these qualities are also entirely new. So each moment of awareness is unique, and the wholesome states arising with it are likewise new. So in this way, the effort, the effort to give rise to wholesome states that have not yet arisen is constantly being fulfilled moment by moment through diligent practice, especially when vipassana insights as well as the path and the fruition knowledge have not yet arisen. These are profound, wholesome states that require consistent and focused effort to develop. Through the third type of effort, the effort to give rise to wholesome states that haven't arisen yet, we actively work to cultivate the conditions for these deep insights to arise. Even moment of mindfulness, every observation of rising and falling with clarity and wisdom contributes to gradual unfolding of these higher knowledge. They don't arise randomly or suddenly, but as the natural result of sustained effort. Mindfulness and understanding developed through the practice of vipassana. Now let us move to talk about the fourth type of effort. The fourth type of effort to maintain. The fourth type of effort is the effort to maintain, to sustain, to fulfill the wholesome states that have already arisen. The effort to maintain, strengthen, and fully develop wholesome states that have already arisen. This effort is about nourishing and stabilizing the wholesome qualities that are already present in the mind. It is not enough that mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, or faith arise once or occasionally. they must be sustained, deepened, and brought to fulfillment. The fourth effort is about protecting what has already been gained and taking it further toward maturity and completion. For example, during meditation, if you already have mindfulness, you apply the effort to maintain that mindfulness continuously without gaps. If concentration has already arisen, you strive to keep it steady, making it more refined and unshakable. If some level of wisdom, insight is present, you nurture it, reflect on it, and allow it to deepen. In this way, the fourth effort plays a vital role in strengthening the momentum of practice and bringing it to higher levels, eventually leading to vipassana insights, path knowledge, and fruition knowledge. So without this sustaining effort, even wholesome qualities can fade away. The fourth effort ensures that what has already arisen is not lost but is developed further until it becomes a powerful force on the path of on the path to liberation. Again, if I were to speak in more profound detail, when you strive to observe the rising, the falling, when you observe the falling movement, right after observing the rising, that very striving, that effort serves to sustain the wholesome mental states that had already arising during the observation of rising. I repeat, when you strive, when you apply effort to observe the falling movement right after the observing the rising, that very effort, that the very energy serves to sustain the wholesome mental states that have already arisen during the observation of the rising. In the same way, the effort you make to observe the second rising and falling, sustain and reinforce the mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, faith, and effort that had already arisen during the observation of the first rising and falling. Similarly, when you observe third rising, falling, it sustains, it reinforces the mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, faith, and effort that had already arisen during the observation of the first and second rising and falling. In this way, if you keep observing continuously with effort, that effort sustains the wholesome states that have already arisen. That means each new application of effort become continuous and strengthening of the previous wholesome states. This is precisely how the fourth type of effort functions in moment-to-moment meditation practice by keeping the chain of mindfulness unbroken and by deepening the quality of wholesome mental factors that have already present. It is a subtle but powerful training in consistency, refinement, and continuity in the path. Now it is clear that there are four types of effort corresponding to four distinct functions: preventing, eliminating, generating, and sustaining and fulfilling. This is the explanation of the four different types of effort, but now I would like to point out something very interesting and profound, that is, in each moment, when you apply effort to observe the presently arising object, all the four of effort are actually working together. In other words, that single moment of effort perform all four functions simultaneously. So you may ask how. For example, when you observe the rising of the abdomen with effort, that effort prevents unwholesome state that haven't yet arisen, such as distraction, restlessness, desire, from entering the mind at that moment. That effort prevents. At the same time, it eliminates unwholesome states that may have already arisen in the recent past. In the recent past, such as irritation, frustration, especially when vipassana insight are developing. So that effort eliminates the unwholesome states. Simultaneously, it gives rise to new wholesome states, such as mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, faith, and effort itself. And finally, it sustains and strengthens those wholesome qualities that had already been present in previous moment of observation. So in this way, in each moment, these all four type of effort are arising whenever you apply the effort to observe the presently arising object. Similarly, when you observe mental phenomena such as thoughts or emotions, or when you observe mental or physical feelings, when you practice walking meditation or maintain mindfulness during day-to-day activities, all four types of effort are actually working together. In other words, each single moment of applied effort performs all four functions. Simultaneously, it prevents unwholesome states from arising, eliminates those already present, give rise to new wholesome states, and sustain and develops the wholesome qualities already established. So even though we speak of these four types of effort as separate for the sake of explanation in actual meditative practice, they are often united in a single moment of wise attention. So this is how we can understand that the all four types of effort are present each and every moment when yogis, meditators apply effort, ardent effort to observe the presently arising object. Whether you observe rising, falling of the abdomen, whether you observe mental phenomena, whether you observe the sensations arising in various parts of the body, whether you observe the movements of the feet during walking meditation, or you observe the activities during daily life. So whenever you apply the effort, that effort the prevents, eliminates, and generates and sustains and fulfills the unwholesome, the wholesome and unwholesome mentalities. So this is the power and the beauty of right effort. It is not only dynamic. Effort should be dynamic, but here it is not just about dynamic, but also deeply integrated. These four types of effort are collectively known in Pali as Chattaro Sammapadana or Chatu Sammapadana, which means the four right exertion or the four supreme endeavors. They are not only the part of the Noble Eightfold Path, but they are also included in the set of the 37 factors of enlightenment, which are the essential mental qualities leading to awakening. The 37 factors of enlightenment consist of four foundation of mindfulness, four right exertion, four basis of spiritual power, five controlling faculties, five mental powers, seven factors of enlightenment, and Noble Eightfold Path. So as you can see, the four right effort appear independently as one of the seven groups that make up the 37 factors of enlightenment, but they also appear indirectly within three other groups the 4 bases of spiritual power, the 5 controlling faculties, the 5 spiritual power. In all of these, effort or energy plays a key role, often as one of the core factors in each group. Additionally, within the Noble Eightfold Path, the 4 right efforts are explicitly included in the 6th factor, which is right effort. So even though the 4 right efforts are listed as a distinct group, their influence runs through and support multiple aspects of the path to liberation. They serve as a driving force behind both the removal of defilements and the development of wisdom and awakening. In this way, we can understand the effort is absolutely essential on the path of practice. Its importance cannot be overstated or measured. Without effort, even the most profound teachings, the clearest understanding, or the best condition for practice will not lead to real transformation. Effort is like the engine that drives the entire spiritual journey forward. It is the fuel that powers mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Whether you are trying to prevent defilements, overcome them, develop wholesome qualities, or sustain them, effort is at the core of all these processes. That's why I would like to encourage all meditators to apply ardent effort. There are still some meditators who do not apply sufficient effort, and others who do make effort but not consistently. So I would like to encourage to apply sufficient effort and consistently. Effort becomes even more crucial when we face the nearest and the most dangerous inner enemy, that is laziness. Laziness is the nearest enemy, the most dangerous enemy of meditators while practicing meditation. Laziness is the absence of wholesome energy or the lack of will to initiate, sustain, or complete skillful action. It manifests as inertia, procrastination, dullness, comfort seeking, or even avoidance, disguised as excuses or the rationalization. What makes laziness particularly dangerous is that it is often justified in the mind. Thoughts like, Maybe I should rest a bit. I will meditate properly tomorrow. I am not in the right mood today. I have been meditating all day. Surely one session of rest won't hurt. I will skip this session and do better in the next time and next one. My mind is too scattered today. It's pointless to sit. I am not getting anywhere. Anyway, why try so hard? And at times, the laziness is justified in the mind with thoughts like, it is too hot today, it's too cold, I'm hungry, I'm full, it's too early, it's too late. So these are the justifications. And in fact, manifestation of these thoughts are the manifestation of laziness. These thoughts seem harmless, but they are actually subtle form of resistance to effort. Over time, these habitual excuses weaken our practice, our determination, and our clarity. In meditation, this enemy often appears right at the moment you decide to sit or walk, or even while you are sitting, pulling the mind into dullness or distraction. That's why the Buddha emphasized as a spiritual faculty, a power, and a factor of enlightenment. As a factor of enlightenment. It is not a minor supporting quality, it is a core force in the battle against defilement and spiritual stagnation. So to overcome laziness, one must develop wise effort, not harsh forcing, but a steady, persistent energy rooted in the faith, wisdom, and clear intention. Even small efforts repeatedly, consistently build inner momentum and resilience. Each time you choose to sit instead of lie down, to note rising, falling instead of drifting into thought, to stay present instead of giving up, you are defeating Māra, army of Māra, and strengthening your path. So in this way, effort becomes the heroic quality of the practitioner, the antidote to laziness. Antidote to laziness. Laziness often strikes or bombard the meditators. So in order to prevent laziness, you have to apply effort. If laziness has already arisen, to eliminate laziness, again you have to apply effort. So to prevent laziness and to eliminate laziness, you have to apply the effort. Effort is the antidote to laziness. It is the garden of mindfulness and the builder of wisdom. In fact, it is a leader of meditation practice. It is mentioned in the text as Viriya Sisena. Viriya means effort, Sisena means leader, or it guides, or it's a forerunner. Without leader, we can't move forward or we can't practice meditation. It develops, it gives rise to mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, and strong faith and confidence. Strong faith and confidence. So without it, the path remains a theory. With it, the path becomes a living reality. So effort plays the even more crucial role in supporting accurate aiming in order to overcome the fifth army of Māra, which is sloth and torpor. So the fifth army of Māra is sloth and torpor. In order to fight against the fifth Māra, again effort is required along with accurate aiming. Both are required, not only effort, not only accurate aiming, these both mental qualities are required to fight against the fifth army of Māra, that is sloth and torpor. When meditators lack both right effort and accurate aiming, sloth and torpor will easily overpower them. So I don't need to say much to introduce you to sloth and torpor, because every meditator is already familiar with them through direct experience. But still, if I were to talk more about the sloth and torpor theoretically, then sloth and torpor are two different mental factors. Sloth is one mental factor and the torpor is another mental factor, but they always arise together. They always arise together. They have big difference, because when sloth is there, it slackens the mind, it dulls the mind, whereas when torpor dulls the mental factors, the co-arising mental factors. This is why they arise together. And sloth and torpor is directly opposite to the accurate aiming. That is Vitakka in Pali. We have already discussed the accurate aiming. Accurate aiming and sloth and torpor are directly opposite. So the antidote to sloth and torpor is accurate aiming. Accurate aiming freshens the mind, whereas sloth and torpor, they contracts the mind. Sloth and torpor contracts the mind. The accurate aiming and effort activates the mind, whereas sloth and torpor frees the mind. Frees the mind. Accurate effort and the accurate aiming activates, whereas the sloth and torpor makes passive or deactivate the mind and mental factors. Accurate aiming and effort widens the mind, whereas the sloth and torpor contracts the mind. Only in the morning when sunlight strikes the buds of flower, the birds bloom. Similarly, when effort and the accurate aiming hits the mind, then the mind blooms. They do not let the mind to contract. On other hand, when sloth and torpor arise, mind and mental factor contracts. They freeze the mind, then mind become dull, drowsy, and manifests as sleepiness. Sloth and torpor manifest as a sleepiness. So in this way, the effort and accurate aiming, sloth and torpor are directly opposite to each other. If I have to say even more, at night when you are about to sleep and when you keep thinking, when so many things keep running in your mind, you hardly fall asleep because your mind is active at that time. Similarly, when effort and accurate aiming keep activating the mind, sloth and torpor hardly arise, you hardly fall asleep, or a hardly drowsiness arise. So that's why they are directly opposite to each other, and the effort and the accurate aiming are antidote to the sloth and torpor, which is the fifth, the army of Māra. So we will continue next day more in detail. I will talk more about how to deal with sleepiness, or how to deal with sloth and torpor when they arise. So for today, by knowing the importance of the effort, the function of the effort, that the effort can prevent and eliminates the unwholesome states, and it give rise and sustain, cultivate, strengthens, and fulfill the wholesome states. And whenever you apply the effort, that effort that effort functions all these functions all at once. So by knowing this, may you all be able to apply effort, sufficient effort, I must say sufficient effort, and consistently by application of sufficient effort, ardent effort, may you be able to prevent unwholesome states, may you be able to eliminate the unwholesome states that have already arisen. May you be able to give rise the wholesome state that haven't arisen yet, and may you be able to sustain, strengthen, and fulfill the wholesome states that have already arisen.